Hello, and welcome to Boot Camp, Unit 13D. Division. Now we're going to have radicals when we do this, which is often going to need us to do what's called rationalizing radicals. So if you take a look at the left here, we can divide radicals if it works out nice, but we often aren't so lucky. In this case, we have 1 over radical 2. And up until about calculus, it is standard practice to get rid of radicals in the bottom of fractions. Well, we need a way to do that. So our method is going to be multiplying top and bottom by that radical. In this case, radical 2 over radical 2, which we can do as radical 2 divided by radical 2 is just 1. We're not changing the value of the fraction, we're just changing its appearance. We're putting a different shirt on it. When we do that, we can multiply across the top. 1 times radical 2 is just radical 2. On the bottom, we have radical 2 times radical 2. Things outside the radical stay together, things inside the radical stay together. So we're going to have a 2 times 2 on the bottom, or radical 4. That's just 2. So we have our answer of radical 2 over 2, which is the exact same thing, just with no radical in the bottom. The fun thing is that as long as you have just a radical in the bottom of a fraction, this trick will work every single time. Well, shoot, we don't have just a radical anymore. Well, what can we do? We're going to need what's called the conjugate of a radical expression. If you take a look at the radical that's causing all the problems here, we have radical 2 plus 1 in the bottom of that fraction. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy it over top and bottom, but just change the sign. You'll notice how there's a plus in the original, so we've changed it to a minus. Multiplying across the top, we have 1 times anything, it's just that thing, radical 2 minus 1. On the bottom, we're going to have to use FOIL, or the table method. If you've seen difference of perfect squares, another way to get around that fast is just to multiply the first 2 and the last 2, because the inner and the outer will always cancel. So we have radical 2 times radical 2, which we just saw was just 2. 1 times a negative 1 is negative 1. 2 minus 1 is 1 on the bottom. And once again, we have averted having a radical in the bottom of a fraction. That is dividing and rationalizing radicals.